Bad connection. I'll be right back. Just give me a second. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, we're live, but Tulio, my fellow teammate, co-host, had to log out unexpectedly, so we should be back here any minute now. So, folks, please stand by. We're going to be recapping last week's show with the conversation that we had with Ben Kearns, one of the vice president of engineering at DataStax, and here he is. Hey, Tulio, you back?
Well, I lost the connection. I guess we started the show.
That's all
Welcome.
right. No, no, actually, I started it, and I was kind of, telling everyone that what we're going to be doing here today. So go ahead, please.
Well, welcome to the show, to the recap show. We're talking about last week's show. We had Benjamin Kearns with DataStax,
Right.
talking about remote teams and how to effectively set up remote teams, which is a very timely subject. And this is an individual that's been doing that for a long time, certainly before COVID-19. So I had a lot of good tips. I particularly liked this idea of mixing it up. One of the key things that came out of the conversation, at least for me, was this concept of don't just do all your calls with your teams on video. Mix it up. Have some phone conversations. Don't always make them about business. Connect just to connect. Have a virtual coffee, just a chat. And then the other thing that I found interesting was the concept of somehow letting people know your state of being in that moment when you respond, for example, to a text or a Slack message where it's difficult to convey your emotions, right? So we've seen sometimes a message from someone that's kind of short. And, if that individual is usually not short, it's easy to misconstrue and think, oh, they're being short with me or they're being snippy. And in the reality could be that they're just dealing with two kids that, homeschooling and trying to juggle everything. And in that moment, they're just going to quickly say, hey, can't do that right now. So this idea of like letting people know where you are, what's going on with you when you use text or Slack and such, so that people don't misinterpret your things. So just some good tips, I thought, very valuable tips. What came up for you, Carlos?
Well, one thing in particular, Tulio, and that is, well, of course, he, as you mentioned, this band has been around for more than 20 years, working with remote teams. But one of the things that he did mention that pulled my attention was when he said that regardless of whether you're working permanently at home or partially at home and partially at an office, but more specifically remote today, you need to manage or find a way to bring your genuine self at work. So and I think that bringing your genuine self remotely, excuse me, remotely is a bit of a challenge because digital communications are sometimes impersonal, convey emotions or clear communication. So that is a challenge, and also when well, one of the things that in this context of bringing your genuine self to work, you can't just you have to leave your issues behind, because they're gonna fester their relationships in a way that, or they could fester relationships in a way that everything can be kind of shaky. So I think we need to. When he brought it up, it became clear to me that that was one of the most important aspects of remote teams, especially when you're managing sophisticated technology, as he clearly mentioned. So that was it, Tulio. That was like one of the most highlights, the most important highlights for me in that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point. I think sometimes there's the tendency to just keep everything all business, but the reality is that even in an office, it's not always all business, right? There's there's the water cooler moment where you're sitting there and having a conversation with someone, chit-chatting about something that may have nothing to do with what you're working on. And then there's the socialization aspects. People go to lunch, people get together for happy hour, people do socialize in a work setting. It's just easier to do it in such a way that's kind of compartmentalized, right? I take my break and I hang out with people, or I go to lunch with people. It's after hours. Whereas when you're working from home, you don't necessarily follow that same routine, and you don't know, because you're not physically seeing people,
Hmm.
who's ready to go to lunch or who's ready to do something social. So you have to make the effort to connect at that level, at a social level, because it's an important aspect of what we do at work. It's not just all work. We're connecting, we're building relationship, we're in many cases hopefully having fun,
Hmm.
and the context for how we show up is important. And I think some cultures struggle with that, being genuinely authentic. Letting someone know I'm not in a good mood today,
Hmm.
versus others that are more open. Like here on the West Coast, we tend to be more open about what's going on with our feelings. But in some other cultures internationally, that's just not how it is yet, right? So it's not as easy to have a one size fits all approach to managing remote and communicating effectively. So you have to keep in mind those elements and try to create some kind of homogeneous way to create communication, link up, and do it in such a way that's respectful for to everybody's different ways of doing things.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, there was something else that was mentioned in the conversation, was that how a lot of companies nowadays, especially with the COVID-19 situation, because a lot of teams are now permanently, or for the time being, let's put it that way, working remotely. A lot of things are being discovered. The companies and corporations are starting to discover also that it might even be good for them, across the structure of the company. It might be good. It might be even a wise business decision to keep remote teams, and that's because it's going to have an impact on other costs that might be uh, relevant. Like office furniture, leasing, that kind of thing. So that is going to shape in the short term. That's going to reshape, maybe, or might be reshaping the future of how companies operate, especially technology companies. So I like that idea, and I like the challenges that lie ahead. We talked about that, how that might be overcome, but also as new opportunities arise for companies, that's going to pose new challenges for the teams in connecting, in building bonds properly, in finding ways to communicate seamlessly, clearly. And so I think overall the future is exciting, and look forward to it as well.
In so many ways, COVID-19 has been a equalizer,
Yeah.
in essence, because if you are an executive who might be able to afford help at the home with your children, for example, right? No one was coming to your home to work during the quarantine period, right? So it was a little more difficult, which means you might be in a position to have to deal with your kids being, homeschooling while you're trying to conduct business. And juggling that is not an easy thing. And a lot of working families, working parents juggle that every day. They don't have
Mhm.
that help, right? So in some ways, it's created awareness that, hey, you know what, we're human. Sometimes you just have a tough time. You're going through some,
Mhm.
you're overwhelmed with so many things going on, and to give each other a break when it's necessary is such an important aspect of working remotely and supporting each other to be successful. I thought that was kind of eye opening to me, because you often just expect people to behave a certain way, to perform a certain way, and you expect yourself to behave a certain way all the time, and it's not genuine. It's not real. Some days are harder than others, and so to your point, being genuine and just having that kind of intimacy between teams is so critically important. Um,
Absolutely.
Carlos, great recap today. I know we got a big week this week,
Yes,
so
we do.
how,
Yes, we
how
do.
about we let the audience know what's coming up? We've got a show pretty much every
Absolutely.
day except for Friday.
Except for
Please,
Friday. For
let's
now,
let's
except
go.
for Friday. Hopefully, we'll have Friday too soon.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow we're going to be speaking with Somajit Baumik. I hope I got that right. The CEO of Stitched. Sorry, and which is an artificial intelligence based manufacturing company clothing manufacturing company. So that should be interesting. And the topic is going to be about sustainability in fashion. Okay, so that's what he has labeled his conversation for tomorrow. That's going to be at 1. Well, all of our interviews are at 1, as you know. And then on Wednesday, we have Wednesday and Thursday at 1 also. Wednesday, we have Wave.video, which is a video marketing company that produces their own video platform. I believe they even have a SaaS product. And also on Thursday, we're going to be speaking with Unity Health, which is a health tech company. And as you might imagine, Tulio, I don't have the details yet as far as the topic, but those are the verticals that we're going to be talking about Wednesday and Thursday. Video and health.
What a great way to start off the summer. Welcome.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you guys tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific, and Wednesday and Thursday, and who knows, maybe even on Friday. Thanks for joining us, and stay safe.